Hi, this is Gary Chalk, and you're listening to the Geekcast Radio Network.
We join our hero, Earthworm Jim, and his faithful sidekick, Peter Puppy, as they dangle from a cliff on the planet of unusually tall things. The nefarious Professor Monkey for a Head moves in to destroy Jim, riding atop his fearsome Spoctronic protoblunktifier, which generates mighty blasts of static electricity by rubbing its many feet. Can our heroes hope to survive?
Earthworm Jim! Prepare to be flame-broiled on the barbecue of my terrible vengeance! Quit it, will you? I am trying to look menacing!
Huh? Did you forget I'm modular?
Suck that, floppy head! Huh? Oh, dadgummit.
Good work, my five-fingered chum.
Four-fingered Jim? What do you think you are, some kind of freak?
Oops. Oh, that didn't hurt, did it, Peter? Oh, say it didn't hurt, please.
This is no time for... Nice, doggy.
Let us flee, my simian skullmate. Earthworm Jim, you haven't seen the last of me. Oh, sorry, the last of us.
I'd really appreciate it if we could cut to the title sequence now.
All right, you've got it, pal.
Earthworm Jim,
the soil he did crawl.
Earthworm Jim,
a super suit did fall. Jim was just a dirt-eating, chewy length of worm flesh, but all that came to a crashing end.
Earthworm Jim,
he's such a groovy guy.
Earthworm Jim,
he rockets through the sky, cruising through the universe, having lots of fun. Here comes Earthworm Jim, you know that he's a mighty one. Despite his great big muscles and his really big ray gun, Jim is still an earthworm, but then he's the only one with a super suit to make him really super strong. Jim can be a winner if we only sing along.
Earthworm Jim,
we think he's mighty fine.
Earthworm Jim,
a hero for all time.
Earthworm Jim, hooray for him.
Groovy!
Hello and welcome to Pixels in the Animation. It's been a while, but we are back and it is time for episode 66. And no, this has nothing to do with Star Wars. Thank you very much. You know, okay, outside of certain droids and Ewoks and a couple other, I don't think there were any Star Wars cartoons they ever did that were solely based on any of the Star Wars video games. Like, we got Star Wars Rebels right now, which is the current series. Before that, we had Clone Wars, but it's always been based around, like, I don't see a web series anywhere for Battlefront or, you know, Super Nintendo Return of the Jedi. You know what I mean? Right. But, yeah, so we are back, and the last time you heard us was our Darkstalkers episodes in the top 50 video game countdown. It's been not quite a year, but almost there. But as you heard, TV's Mr. Neil is here. Hello, sir.
Hello. A minor setback.
Yes, exactly. And we're here. We're back. We're going to be back all year this year, 2017, because 2017 is the 25th? Yeah. No, wait. Yeah, 25th or 20th? Fuck, I don't know. It's some sort of anniversary for Sonic.
Okay.
So once episode 71 hits later this year, we'll be celebrating 25 years of Sonic. But before that, we got to get through Worm territory and Battletoad territory, and then we got to drive through Donkey Kong Country. So in this episode, we're going to talk about the first 7 episodes of season 1 for Earthworm Jim. Now, I actually had to go back and look at several playthroughs of Earthworm Jim on YouTube because I did not remember this game at all. And the playthroughs I found were only the Sega version. Was it only ever on Sega?
It was on Super Nintendo. It just wasn't very popular on Super Nintendo. Because it was very much a Sega game. It was made for Sega.
Yeah.
In fact, the musical bits that I always pull out for certain episodes, this time it'll be from the Sega CD version.
Okay.
Which is great.
Okay. We haven't recorded this show in so long. I'm gonna have to make sure I still have those files. You may have to
I'm sure I still have them.
I know you still have them, but I'm like, because we always do pre-production on this stuff, folks, and it's been a long year and a half at this point for me. Go out to California. Food was great. Scenery was great. The relationship crashed and burned. So there's that. So yeah.
In and out.
Oh, wow. Only you would do that.
Well, I know that restaurant's out there, and I always hear about it.
Oh my God.
What's funny is that because I'm not familiar with it, and I have California friends, like sometimes I'll be talking to some of them, and they'll be like, "Boy, I could sure go for some In and Out." And I'm like, "Wait, well, TMI." And then, oh wait, you're talking about burgers.
The way my buddy Doug Abel from Talking About My Generation explains it is the best basic burger. It's basically the burger, cheese, lettuce, tomato, and that's, they offer you onions, but other than that, there's no other toppings or anything, So it's absolutely, it was a great. If I ever go back to California, that's pretty much all I'll eat is In-N-Out burgers, because holy crap, that was awesome. That and carne asada fries. Oh God. So yeah, so we're here to talk about video game cartoons. While I get back into the swing of things here for podcasting for Pixels and the Animation, and we're going to talk about Earthworm Jim, which was an animated series that ran for 2 seasons from 95 to 96, and
way too short.
Yeah. Has 23 episodes to it, folks. It only got 2 seasons. This, like I said earlier, going back, like I went to watch the playthroughs of Earthworm Jim from the video game, like once I was like at episode 11 of season 2, and after watching all of the cartoon series except for the last 2 episodes and going to watch the playthrough, I'm like, oh my God, the game looks, and maybe it's just the Sega. Maybe it's just that 16-bit graphics that I'm not used to on Sega, because I haven't seen a lot of Sega stuff outside of Sonic in a long time. But that game looks horrible compared to what they did in the cartoon.
Yeah, actually, it was impressively animated in the game, but it was just, for me, it's just more aggravating to play. It's kind of like Donkey Kong Country, where they tried to make it look really sharp, but like, boy, I just don't care about playing it. And it's part of the problem is that they're being a little too cartoony in the game. So like, there's maybe like, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 frames of animation just for Jim flicking his whip, which is actually him. Mm-hmm. And the thing is that this is not Castlevania, so the delayed whip doesn't work here. It's like you press the button and then like a half second later he attacks something. That's not good.
Yeah. Now, had you seen this series when it debuted way back then, or had you not even known about it?
I kind of knew about it, but I didn't watch it. I didn't watch it until much later, and boy, my friends really let me know about it though, because every week there was like some in joke from that show that like my friends were just giggling about, and I'm like, I don't know what this is. I never saw. I didn't know what network it was on.
It was on the Kids WB.
Yeah, and the funny thing about Kids WB in Chicago is that it was not on the WB, at least not until like the last year or so.
Yeah.
Because somehow a UHF channel like got the rights to it and like held on to it tenaciously until finally WB was like, look, we're not renewing this.
Oh, so this series, before we get into the actual episodes, and the whole plot basically follows somewhat to the video game series, but they come up with various stories as well, and they have various that's one of the things I noticed, because I actually watched this on Kiss Cartoon, and on Kiss Cartoon they have the 4 bonus features the behind the scenes things. So I grabbed that audio. So that audio will be in here somewhere. But basically, watching those behind the scenes things, it's like, oh, we just went for the funny, and we just tried to make it as funny as we possibly could. And the funny thing is, outside of a couple of times, I barely laughed. I enjoyed this. I didn't not enjoy it. It's probably the most interesting, fun cartoon we've done in the last, God knows how long have we been doing this podcast? 5 years? I don't even know now. 4 years, something like I don't know. Something like that. But I don't know. It's like, from what I saw from the creators and the writers and everything else, like, oh, go with that joke, and I finally see the joke in an episode, and I'm like, okay, that's kind of funny, I guess. But going through the voice cast really quick, you got Homer Simpson, Dan Castellaneta as Earthworm Jim, Evil Jim, Hamsterinator, Turns His Eyelids Inside Out Boy, Jim's Four Brains, and the Grim Reaper, and a couple other, Japus, God of Puns. Jeff Bennett is Peter Puppy. He's the narrator. He's Evil Peter. He's Puss Dynamo, President of the United States, and others. Charlie Adler is Professor Monkey for a Head. Jim Cummings. Jim Cummings is by far my favorite. Outside of Dan as Jim, but Jim Cummings he's got Psycrow, Bob the Killer Goldfish, Johnny Dactyl, Walter Xanator. I think Bob the Killer Goldfish is my favorite.
Oh yeah, because he's like what you call it, one of those the guys on TV, the televangelist. That's what I think he's doing. He's just like, praise Jesus, or or actually he also kind of sounds like Brother Love.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
I love you.
Oh my God. I think out of all of the voice cast, because they had a bunch of other voices, and we've got Andrea Martin as Queen Slug for a Butt. We've got Kath Soucie as Princess What's Her Name. But some of the additional voices, like Brad Garrett as Lord of Nightmares, yeah, I could see that. The fact that Ben Stein, of all people, shows up in this.
Oh, one of the funniest jokes, because he plays Dr. Houston.
Yep.
Houston, we have a problem. I love that. The joke is that he's heard that like 500 times.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's just tired of it.
Yep.
Wasn't Tom Bodett in this too? I swear I heard Tom Bodett.
It might have been Jeff Bennett impersonating him, but I don't see it listed here. But yeah, I mean, this show is actually pretty funny. It really is, but it's just one of those things where the way I watched it so we could get the episodes recorded is I pretty much marathoned it within 2 days. And I'm like, by episode 8 of season 1, I was like, I need a break.
Yeah, because it's not a show that's meant to be watched. It's not meant to be marathon. You were supposed to watch this like once a week because it really just beats you over the head with the humor, and it can be tiresome. Actually, it just fatigues you. It's like, oh my God, because there's so much going on, and it's just nonstop wackiness.
Yep. So the first 7 episodes of the season 1, we've got Sidekicked, Book of Doom, Assault and Battery, Day of the Fish, Conqueror Worm, Upholstered Peril, Sword of Righteousness. Sidekicked is the pilot episode here where Jim goes out and looks for a new sidekick because he wants to replace poor Peter Puppy. Because Peter Puppy, every time he gets scared or sad or angry, he basically hulks out, essentially.
Yeah. And that's from a stage in the game where it's like an escort mission. Yeah. And every time a bad guy hits him, he just mauls the hell out of Jim.
Yeah, absolutely. I think my favorite out of these first 7 is Day of the Fish, when Bob attempts to steal his super suit. God. Yeah, I'm not sure, and I know you're not supposed to explain humor. Some of the names I get, but Professor Monkey for a head, I mean, I know the joke. I get the joke. He's got a monkey on his head, but some of these names just, I look at them and I'm like, what the hell? Like, they keep adding names to Queen Slug for a Butt. It's like Queen blah 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 Slug for a Butt, and I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you people?
I actually love when the narrator has to say the name, because he just powers through it, and he's like,
yeah,
it's Queen blah 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 Slug for a Butt, and you can tell by the way he's doing it, he's doing John Cleese.
Yeah,
so it's got like a twinge of Monty Python in there as well.
Because it's Jeff Bennett, and Jeff Bennett's narrator voice for this was amazing, absolutely. Now, see, before even looking at any of the information online about this series, because all I did was I just watched it. Like, I didn't want to look anything up, didn't want to know any of the synopsises of the episodes. I knew that from watching the behind the scenes things that Dan Castellaneta was Earthworm. I mean, it's kind of hard not to know that Homer Simpson is the worm. I mean, but I did not know it was Jeff Bennett as Peter Puppy, because as much as I know of Jeff Bennett and his voice acting career and the multiple, I just didn't know that was his voice at the time. I was like, who is Peter Pup? Oh, it's Jeff Bennett. Okay.
Yeah, for half a minute I thought maybe it was Rob Paulson. I'm like, no.
No, I would have known that. I would have picked up on that easily. But yeah, these first 7, what did you think overall of these?
It kind of starts out a little, not bad, but like just a little slow, and then like it very rapidly picks up. Like, Sidekick might be one of the least good episodes, I should say.
Yeah. Just
because there's like some growing pains in it. There's like a couple animation glitches, and surprisingly, the show just gets better with like every episode. Like, the animation actually improves, and usually it's the opposite way, like with Captain N, where like the last few episodes are just horrible.
Season 3, we know we don't want to relive that horror.
It's like almost stick figures.
Yeah. What I enjoyed about it is it's not often we get, okay, sure, in the last, 10, 12 years we've had Jimmy Neutron, Boy Genius, but that's fine, that's Nickelodeon, that's whatever, but it wasn't often, to my knowledge, in the 90s that we had a lot of space-type animated cartoon series. Like, not in, the mid, 95, 96 area. You had Marvel with X-Men and Spider-Man and Hulk and all that, and DC had the Batman stuff and whatever else. And this is just kind of like a good old space romp every now and then. And there are some episodes where, in these first 7, where they're just, on Earth, doing, like episode 6, Unupholstered Peril. Professor Monkey for a Head tries to conquer the world with cybernetic furniture. Somebody shoot me now. But watching the episode, it was hilarious because it's like, hey, look, all the furniture's alive. It's going to eat us. It's like they went to Pee-wee's Playhouse and grabbed that chair.
Oh, God. There was a skit on The Muppet Show where all the furniture came to life and it had, like, sharp teeth and everything. And it feeds into my theory that early Muppets were meant to be scary.
Yeah, I could imagine that, yeah. But I do love these first 7. I think they are interesting. I do think they are funny. I think it's just the way that I watched the series, like you said, is probably not the way I should have done it, but in order to get the show recorded, I'm like, okay, let's just, it's kind of like Batman's advice to Terry McGinnis. The Joker is vain, he likes to talk, just power on through. Block it out and power on through. And I'm like, okay, I'll try my best. It took me 2.5 days. Oh, boy. I do love the animation in this, though. This animation is, and you would think me, and you know this, and most everyone that ever has listened to any Tooncast episodes know this. I'm not a fan of gross out animation, and this animation is not super grossed out. Thank God John Kay had nothing to do with this series.
Some of his boys are in this cartoon, though.
Some of his.
I saw Vincent Waller's name in there, and he's I think he worked on SpongeBob, but he's also known for doing the rubber nipple salesman episode of Ren and Stimpy, which is a great episode.
Ren and Stimpy, oh Lord. But yeah, no, I do really, really enjoy this. I do think that, the first 7 are pretty funny. I love the. I think my favorite episode out of the first 7, outside of Day of the Fish, my second favorite would have to be Sword of Righteousness.
Oh my God, that was hilarious.
He finds an enchanted sword in a vending machine sandwich.
And that sword was just full of quips.
Yep.
And pop culture references. I mean, there's a quote from Plan 9 from Outer Space in there. He's like, "Your stupid minds, stupid." And I just started laughing. I'm like, that's the best line from that movie, and I'm glad they put that in there.
That sword has more quips than Spider-Man. And see, the funny thing is, when I was watching that, I'm like, what does this remind me of? Bugs Bunny with the singing sword.
Yes.
That's what it reminded me of. Oh Lord. Had you ever played any of the Earthworm Jim games? I might have already asked you that. I don't know. I'm kind of delirious at this point.
But I don't get very far into them just because they're so infuriating to play. I mean, you really have to be like a hardcore gamer to get into it because the jumping mechanic is... See, the play control is actually pretty solid, but some of the stages are just aggravating. Like, the first stage, there's a whole section where you have to, like, jump on a stack of tires, and it's just... I can't really describe it. It's because it's like... Because it's rubber, it's really super bouncy, and you just get stuck, and you can't get to the ledge that you're supposed to get to, and you just swear at the screen and throw the controller, and...
Yeah. Out of these first 7, did you have a favorite character?
Oh, maybe Psychro, just because he's doing Peter Falk.
And
I'm like, yes.
Yeah. I think I would have liked Psychro a little bit more, and no offense to Jim Cummings, but because it was supposed to be a Peter Falk, I really would have liked it for it to have been Maurice, because Maurice is a better Peter Falk than Jim Cummings does, in my opinion.
This here's a kissing book.
Yeah, and Netflix, put Columbo back on, you bastards. I get home from vacation, I want to start watching Columbo again, and it's gone. Jerks. Okay. That's just so wrong. Alright, folks, I know this has been a short episode, but it is only 7 cartoons. We'll be back next week for the next 6. But hey, sometimes people like short podcasts. Anything else you want to say about the series to this point, or the games, or the voice acting, or the animation?
I'll just say that since we usually do ratings, it's just a blanket 5-star all the way across. You should just don't even like think that like some episodes are better than others. Just start at episode 1 and go through it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we usually do ratings, and I don't know if it's me just needing to get the recording rust off of me or what's going on here, but I'm just like I said before, let's just power on through. Get that snow plow ready. God. So, you can find us out on Facebook and Twitter. It's at Geekcast Radio on Twitter. It's Geekcast Radio Network on Facebook. You are at TV's Mr. Neil everywhere, right? Or, well, there's Peeling Bailey on Twitter, so...
Yeah, I forget the exact URL of the Facebook page, but you can find it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. The voicemail line is inoperable at this point, folks. It'll be back soon. And coming up next time, we've got the second half of Season 1 of Earthworm Jim. We will catch you next time.
And now strap on your brain-absorbing information modulators, whatever they are, because it's time once again to attend Earthworm Jim's world-famous and highly renowned University of Cartoon Making. Today's lesson, the animating process. That means how they draw their cartoons. Groovy. Here's how they do it. Here's how they do it. And these are some of the people who do it. Yes, they start with sketches of the characters.
This is Psychro, and he's a psychotic, villainous crow from outer space.
I shall destroy you and whatnot.
Painstakingly drawing each character, while other animators are busy drawing the backgrounds, the props, the spaceships. Then each drawing is carefully photographed one at a time until...
we get something that looks like this.
From there, the color process begins, with various animators painting all the different pictures in minute detail.
This happens to be the planet of the very frightened people.
Then everything gets combined together until, voila!
It's me!
Is it magic? Is it voodoo?
We have no idea what kind of power it is.
But one thing's for sure.
It's actually a really exciting little adventure.
Everyone in the vicinity!
And there you have it, the animation process from start to finish. And now, just to see if you've been paying attention, here's a trivia question. If you get the answer right, you could win your very own cybernetic supersuit, which will give you the same superhero powers as Earthworm Jim himself.
Oh, goody.
What deadly and destructive martial art is Earthworm Jim an expert in? The seemingly improbable but nevertheless factual answer right after Day of the Fish. And now, as we promised, here's the answer to our Earthworm Jim trivia question. What deadly and destructive martial art is Earthworm Jim an expert in? Lip Jitsu!
Hey! This calls for Lip Jitsu!
Aha! I knew it!
If you knew the answer, you could be wearing your very own Earthworm Jim cybernetic superhero suit by 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Of course, you'll have to go to the planet Argon to get it. And remember, you can learn more about the making of Earthworm Jim with every episode you buy, because each cassette contains special information about the writers, the actors, and yes, even the creator of Earthworm Jim himself. That is so top secret, even the best spies in the world can't get their hands on it.
Curses! I'll get you for this, Earthworm Jim!
Collect them all and become the most brilliant, knowledgeable person you know about the fantastic adventures of Earthworm Jim!
Man, what a rush!
It's action. It's drama. It's comedy. It's Decian, the superhero webcomic. Decian's got superhero antics and sexy girls. Read it now at Decian.com. DASIEN.com.
And now, kids, as we promised, it's time to go to cartoon school.
Must sit. Must sit.
Today's lesson, the storyboarding process. Like, exactly what is a storyboard?
A storyboard is a bunch of pictures put together that plans out your whole cartoon. A comic book come to life. Our cartoon will be based on all of these pictures right here. There's something like 24,000 pictures drawings involved in a cartoon. So we plan them out one by one, and we do this for every single panel of the storyboard.
Quit it!
What we draw on the storyboard comes directly from the script. Even a small little action like my moving my hand like this can take up to 16, maybe even 24 different drawings.
Yes! Bravo!
The storyboard artist is a person who has a lot of skills. So we want to make sure that everything's just right.
And yet somehow groovy.
And so there you have it, the storyboard. Looks hard, doesn't it?
It sure is, but it makes for a fun cartoon.
Oh, and now, just to see if you've been paying attention, here's a trivia question. If you get the answer right, you could win a trip to the moon with Earthworm Jim himself.
All right.
What's the first address that Earthworm Jim visits when he travels back through the fabric of time? The mind-blowing, never-seen-before answer coming up right after Sword of Righteousness. And now, as we promised, here's the answer to our Earthworm Jim trivia question. What's the first address that Earthworm Jim visits when he travels back through the fabric of time? The Gettysburg Address.
47 years ago.
Aha! I knew it!
If you knew the answer, you could be on your way to the moon with Earthworm Jim. Of course, you'll have to build your own spaceship and pay your own way, but hey, nothing's perfect. And remember, you can learn more about the making of Earthworm Jim with every episode you buy, because each cassette contains information even Albert Einstein didn't know about. The writing, the drawing, even the voicing of the characters for this phenomenal, groundbreaking cartoon. Collect them all and become the most brilliant, knowledgeable person you know about the fantastic adventures of Earthworm Jim.
Yes, Snot, it is majestic in its pulchritudinous grandeur.
You read my mind, little buddy.